Tort comes from a form of the Latin verb torquere, meaning to twist, wind, or wrench. In torture, parts of the body may be wrenched or twisted or stretched, so those Indian sunburns that school kids give by twisting in different directions on some unlucky guy's wrist stay pretty close to torture's original meaning. Tort, a wrongful act that does not involve breach of contract and for which the injured party can receive damages in a civil action. The manufacturer was almost bankrupted by the massive tort actions brought by employees harmed by asbestos. Tort came into English straight from French many centuries ago, and it still looks a little odd. Its root meaning of twisted, as opposed to straight, obviously came to mean wrong, as opposed to right. Every first-year law student takes a course in the important subject of torts. Torts include all the so-called product liability cases against manufacturers of cars, household products, children's toys, and so on. They also cover dog bites, slander and libel, and a huge variety of other very personal cases of injury, both mental and physical. Torts class is never dull. If you're sued for a tort and lose, you usually have to pay damages, that is, a sum of money, to the person who you wronged. Extort, to obtain from a person by force, threats, or illegal power. She had tried to extort money from a film star, claiming that he was the father of her baby. To extort is literally to wrench something out of someone. Extortion is a mainstay of organized crime. Just as the school bully extorts lunch money from the smaller kids in exchange for not beating them up, thugs extort protection money from business owners with threats of violence. But that's only one kind of extortion. A mobster might extort favors from a politician with threats of revealing some dark secret, just as you might extort a favor from a brother or sister by promising not to tell on them. Contort, to twist in a violent manner. The governor's explanation of his affair was so contorted that it only made matters worse for him. Circus contortionists are known for twisting their bodies into pretzels. Such contortions tend to be easier for females than for males, and much easier for the young than for the old. When trying to say something uncomfortable or dishonest, people often go through verbal contortions. But when someone else twists something you said or did, we usually say instead that they've distorted it. Tortuous, 1. Having many twists, bends, or turns, winding. 2. Crooked or tricky, involved, complex. The road over the mountains was long and dangerously tortuous, and as you rounded the sharp corners you could never see whether a huge truck might be barreling down toward you. A labyrinth is a tortuous maze. The first labyrinth was built as a prison for the monstrous minotaur, half bull and half man. Only by holding one end of a thread was the heroic Theseus able to enter and slay the minotaur and then exit. A tortuous problem, a tortuous history, and the tortuous path of a bill through Congress all have many unexpected twists and turns. A tortuous explanation or argument may be too crooked for its own good. Don't confuse tortuous with torturous, which means tortured or painfully unpleasant. Tortuous has nothing to do with torture. Div comes from vivere, the Latin verb meaning to live or be alive. A survivor has lived through something terrible. A revival brings something back to life, whether it's an old film, interest in a long-dead novelist, or religious enthusiasm in a group, maybe in a huge tent in the countryside. Vivacious, lively in an attractive way. For the cheerleading squad, only the most outgoing, energetic, and vivacious of the students get chosen. Vivacious can be used to describe a piece of music or writing, but it's generally used today to describe people, and particularly women. The main female characters in Shakespeare's plays, Beatrice in Much Ado About Nothing, Rosalind in As You Like It, and Portia in The Merchant of Venice, for example, are often full of humor, spirit, and vivacity. Bon vivant, a sociable person with a love of excellent food and drink. My uncle and aunt were bons vivants, and could usually be found in the evening at a swank midtown bar, surrounded by a crowd of tipsy merrymakers. Bon vivant comes straight from French, where it means literally good liver, and is still pronounced in the French way, though we've actually been using it in English since the 17th century. A proper bon vivant has some money and lots of friends and plenty of style and knows a good wine and can tell a great story and loves to laugh. Because of all these requirements, true bons vivants are rather rare. but that doesn't mean there aren't plenty of people who hope to be one someday. Revivify, to give new life to, bring back to life. All their efforts to revivify the boys' club seemed to be getting them nowhere, till one of the board members had a great idea. Worn-out soil may be revivified by careful organic tending. A terrific new recruit can revivify a discouraged football team, and an imaginative and energetic new principal can revivify a failing high school. After World War II, one European country after another was slowly revivified, their economies and cultural life gradually coming back to life. Notice that revivify looks like some other words with very similar meanings, such as revive, revitalize, and reinvigorate. Vivisection operation on living animals, often for experimental purposes. The lab attempts to avoid vivisection in its research, concentrating instead on alternative methods that have been developed. Vivisection includes the Latin root sect, meaning cut. The Greek physician Galen, who lived during the 2nd century AD, practiced vivisection on live monkeys and dogs to learn such things as the role of the spinal cord in muscle activity and whether veins and arteries carry air or blood. His findings formed the basis of medical practice for more than 1,000 years. Vivisection continues to be used in drug and medical research today, but often in secret, since it makes most people very uncomfortable and some groups are violently opposed to it.